And now for our feature presentation.
Welcome to Inside Amusements, your number one podcast about yesterday, today, and tomorrow's amusements. With your hosts, Brian, Chris, and Eric. I'm Joe, the producer, and this is episode number 5, At the Movies, Then and Now. And now, here's Chris.
Hey everybody, how is it going today? Hopefully everybody is doing well. We just wanted to start off with some news topics here. So first things first, we have witnessed Tron Testing. We personally not witnessed, but seen video of Tron down at Disney Magic Kingdom in Orlando testing for the first time. It looks really fun. I can't wait to get down there and check it out.
Sounds
Brian?
awesome.
Yeah.
Also, looks like Palace Entertainment, which owns Storyland, Lake Compounce, and Water Country, and Living Shores Aquarium, will no longer accept cash anymore. Looks like they're going the way of everybody else, like Cedar Fair and Six Flags, and going to cashless. So get your card on your app or charge your little card that they're going to give you, because you can no longer use cash at those locations.
Cashless it is. All right. So for those that don't know, Coaster Mania is back at Cedar Point. Tickets went on sale. They're still on sale from what we can tell. So if you are a coaster enthusiast and like Cedar Point, you get behind the scene tours and everything like that. So I would buy your ticket before they sell out.
Awesome. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, we will be there. Sorry.
Yeah, we will be there. And it looks like Kings Island alum and Broadway and film star Alton Fitzgerald White is set to perform the Star Spangled Banner April 29th at Kings Island's official historic 50th birthday celebration. So if you want to see him perform, make sure you're there. I believe they said at 9:15 at the grandstand in front of the tower.
And we will be there for that one too.
We will also be there as well.
We'll be there for that one. So, and that's all for this trip around the news carousel. It was the summer of 1977. I was about 2 years old. My mom and dad, I remember they took me to a drive-in in the west side of Cincinnati. It's the Ferguson Drive-In, if anybody's familiar with Cincinnati. And that summer was a big change for me. It was the first time that I went to a movie. And for everybody that knows me, I'm a big movie buff. I love movies. And I've got, from the oldies to the new ones, the sci-fi to even sappy movies, I'll watch them. But yeah, I mean, that kicked off my experience with going to the movies. It started at the old drive-ins. I remember on that trip, it was the smell of popcorn. And I remember latching the old, the little speaker you had that went on your window so you can actually listen to the movie. That was pretty cool. It was late 70s. It was before what they have nowadays where you can just tune it in on your radio. But it was fun. I remember I remember going to the playground before the movie started. You had all the kids there and everything. And everybody just kind of just chilling out. Then, sunset. And you went and got your popcorn and all your food and stuff at the concession stand. And back then, we only had a car. I don't remember what kind of car we had, but I know some people like these pickup trucks or whatever and just kind of turn them around and like throw a mattress in the back. But I remember that movie specifically because that was Star Wars. So I was actually lucky enough to see it in its original debut. Unfortunately, I don't remember the whole movie because I do believe I fell asleep about halfway through. So, but I do remember the start off of the movie, title theme and all that. I don't want to hum it here because I'm afraid we'll get a copyright strike or something.
I always remember driving movie theaters. It seems like it was like a back to back, right? It was typically like 2 movies. Do you recall if there was another movie that was lumped in with this one?
I am not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I fell asleep halfway through Star Wars, so I'm sure there was, but I don't think we probably stuck around. I mean, my sister is only like 3 years, 2.5, 3 years older than me, so I'm sure she was probably passed out by the theme of the Star Wars too.
Mm-hmm. So I remember going to the drive-ins and stuff, but I remember being so young that I'd pay attention to like the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then I just want to wrestle around the car and not pay attention to the rest of the movie. Or go on a stroll,
go to the playground, or
Yeah. I remember one thing about the drive-ins that were close to us up here. They were 40 East. It was 40 East, the 40 that goes across the country. It goes right through Columbus, and they had 2 screens that played 4 movies, 4 different movies at the same time, one right after another, but yeah, I just remember not paying attention to the movie about 10 minutes in.
I totally remember putting the speaker up on the window, and to think like then, like that was great technology, right? Like I could sit in my car or in my parents' car and have this speaker right here, but I'm not so sure that speaker would suffice today. I mean, with the way that audio is done now.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got to figure it's a mono channel, so everything's coming through that one channel.
Sometimes you got lucky. You pulled up in the space, and there was nobody in the space next to you, and so you could take that speaker as well, right?
Yeah.
And then surround sound experience.
I've always wondered, do they just run all these cords under the ground to each speaker? Is that what that is? Oh,
yeah, it's got to be, man. It's got to be very basic technology there.
Yeah.
But
classic,
drive-ins are still going on today, right? We know that. I mean,
yeah, actually, I think they thrived during COVID. You actually had pop-up drive-ins everywhere.
Mm-hmm. You think the technology is pretty much the same? I mean, same speaker. I mean, I've not been in.
Oh no, yeah, they've done away with the old mono speaker. They're all broadcast on FM now. So,
okay,
if you have a nice stereo system in your car, you can get, you got nice surround sound. Listen to the movie.
Hopefully, you get good reception.
Yeah,
it's a local transmitter.
Yeah, the transmitter is probably on site. Yep.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. And of course, I remember those, the intermission, film clips, right? Let's go to the concession stand, or
let's all go to the movies.
Yeah, the animated.
The last time I went, they actually still played those old ones from like the 50s and 60s, and there's hilarious. But hey, if it still works, Yeah,
it's amazing, like where we are today. If you think about like starting out at drive-ins. I mean, my earliest memory was, of course, drive-ins, and I remember specifically I'm sure most parents or most people have done this, but sneaking people into the drive-in, right? I think you paid by the number of people, I guess. So like if you can get sneak people in, you'd have to pay less. But I remember somebody sneaking us in through a trunk, me and my brother, and man, that seems like just forever ago. But that certainly happened too.
Yeah, I remember my dad actually lived at one point after my parents divorced. He lived next to the Ferguson Drive-In, an apartment complex, and he used to sneak us in because there was like a strip of woods and a fence, but the fence was like cut out. Somebody literally cut the fence, and they've never fixed it. So he would just grab some lawn chairs and he'd sneak us into the movie.
Not doing a good job protecting your investment. How do you not notice a big hole in the fence that is to keep people out?
Well, I'll tell you this: at the drive-ins that was up here, one of the screens backed up to a set of woods, which on the other side of those woods was the neighborhood that my friend lived in. So you could literally walk right through the woods, straight into the movie theater, into the drive-in area, and not, just sit right down in front of the first row there and just watch the movie. That's what we would do.
Amazing.
Yeah. As we were teenagers, not when we were kids.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So then thinking about like where we are now, or let's maybe think a little bit about like after the drive-ins, what's everybody's memory at that point? I mean, of course, movie theaters have always been around, right? For the most part.
Yeah.
Probably VHS for me at least.
Uh-huh.
I think, yeah, I mean, for me, it was the big, the multiplexes started popping up in the early 80s. I mean, it was the little mom and pop theaters, the one or two screens.
The one
were starting
screen
to
or
go
two,
away.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
You start having showcase cinemas that became popular. I'm trying to think some of that. Lowe's was some of the early ones.
And these were chains. I mean, they were all over the place. Just
big
popping
chains.
up
They were
everywhere.
just buying everybody out. Then they would build these big, 10, 12 screen theaters.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the place to be on the weekends.
Oh,
When
yeah.
did AMC come along? Were they around back? I don't know when they.
At least not around the Cincinnati area.
Yeah, I feel like that was later on for sure. I don't recall that at all as a kid.
I think the first AMC around here was Newport on the Levee. So that was probably back, late 90s? Something
that
like
sounds
that.
about right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know we have AMC's up here and also Marcus Cinemas. I don't know where else they are, but they're up here.
Yeah, we have the AMC, then we have Regal. I think Regal bought out the Showcase Cinemas.
I always wondered, thinking about drive-ins, this thought just occurred to me that what kept anybody from bringing in your own snacks? Why would you go and pay for the snacks at the concession? I mean, you're in your own car. Surely you could bring in your own snacks, right?
Yeah, actually, the Holiday lets you do that. The one closest to us. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the closest, but it's one of the two in the Cincinnati area. But I believe there's like a bring your own food charge that you can bring your own food in, and you pay like a $5 premium, but you also get a discount with that.
Okay,
in the
nice
concession stand. So
yeah, that's smart.
Yeah,
I mean, having the experience of going to the concession stand is a must, anyways, right? So,
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember it was always dimly lit, and you went in there and you had your hot dogs wrapped up in the foil wrappers and stuff, and you had the hamburgers, and it's just something you can't forget.
Yeah, it was more than just going to see a movie.
Yeah.
Eric, do you have any experiences at a drive-in?
I don't. No,
Wow.
We did not. I know we did not grow up going to the drive-in, but talking about movie theaters and kind of sneaking in stuff. I always remember my dad growing up, we go, at the time there was the theater in the Kenwood Mall, which, a little suburb down here in Cincinnati. And we'd always go to, I don't know, Walgreens or CVS or whatever beforehand. And he'd be like, all right, wear your sweatshirt or wear some baggy clothes and here, put this bottle of Mountain Dew, tuck it in your belt, and they'll never know. And we'd always just sneak food in. But of course, we'd be like, all right, we're going to get movie theater popcorn. Cause you can't go with it. I mean, even if I still go to the theater, I'm going to get the biggest bag of popcorn I can get.
Got to get the popcorn. Yeah.
You have to. And then halfway through the movie, I'll be like, this was a terrible idea. I feel awful, but I'm going to finish it by the end of the movie. Someone put it down and then every couple minutes, grab another handful.
Extra
So
butter.
yeah, we would always, you have to. Now,
gotta drown it.
nowadays they this is the one thing that I'm going to gripe about with theaters because I still love that experience. But, now they've got these at the concession stand. It's you add your own butter. It's well, no, because you're just adding it on the top. Now you got to get it all the way through. You got to fill it up halfway, then put some on, fill it up more, put some on.
Yep.
Yeah. But
You
that was always kind of
that
go for it.
using a straw. You stick a straw down the bag and you hit the nozzle with the straw and hit it. It'll squirt the butter all the way down into the popcorn. Somebody
There
taught
you
me
go.
that years ago.
Right on. That's a good trick. Yeah. That's a good one.
I have
Well,
another.
we're also, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we're also discussing kind of at the movies then and now. So of course, drive-ins, but let's not forget cable TV.
Exactly.
And pay-per-view and all those amazing things to be, as moving into kind of, video on demand.
Yeah, I mean that's
Oh, yeah.
still around today. Big thing today.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember the early '80s when we had cable TV and you had those big square boxes that had all the buttons, and I remember the big red button on there. You know, it was pay per view, but back then it wasn't on demand though because they only played at certain times.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
You had to
Mhm.
make sure you know law or hit
Time
the
it out just right.
purchase button at the right time. Yeah,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I always remember at home, Joe. I know you probably remember. My dad would always come. Who watched this movie?
Oh yeah. When that cable bill came out, look out. We were nowhere to be found. Yep. The pay-per-view. Mhm. I also remember one of my early memories of having, cable TV was a service that was called On TV. And it was one box that sat on top of your television, and it had a rotary dial, and it was either on or it was off. And that was it. The programming was different programming, 24 hours a day. And, you just turned it on whenever you wanted to get whatever program was on, was, I guess, maybe streaming at that time. But man, gosh, I mean, that must have been 40 years ago. Pretty sure it was called On TV, and it was just turning it on or turning it off. But that was kind of my early memory of what cable television was.
I think my earliest remembrance of cable television is loving MTV with actual music videos all day long, and not this reality stuff that they do now. But it was just constant music videos, and it was that, and it was Nickelodeon with Double Dare and Legend of the Hidden Temple, all that kind of stuff.
Do that on television.
Yeah.
Yep.
Those were the days of Nickelodeon.
Yep.
Chris, we used to get off out of school and I remember like coming home when MTV still had like TRL with Carson Daly, and you would turn that on and then you get on, AOL, right?
Yeah.
And there was your instant messenger. And so you would like be messaging your classmates and being like, oh, I wonder what, video is going to be 8. Oh, they put that at 8. Like, come on. That was there last week, and just kind of having some fun with that.
If you think about it, AOL Instant Messenger was pre-texting. If you think about it, it's like texting nowadays, but I do remember TRL, but I remember MTV would be even before TRL when they just played, you'd have your little cut-ins of MTV News with Kurt Loder and, just music videos. That was it. And I remember watching Faith No More.
Joe and I feel old. I'm sure I can speak for both of us that we both remember the first video being played on MTV.
Yeah, and I remember when
the radio star.
I was gonna say I remember when MTV debuted. I mean, it was
1981.
81. Yeah,
it was August. I think it was August.
August of 81. I mean, I was just under 10 years old, so enough to definitely remember it, and remembering it being this amazing thing. And I really think from that moment on, for as many years as MTV was the original MTV, that's all I ever watched, and that's all we ever watched, and that's all we ever spoke about at school. And videos debuting and seeing Michael Jackson's Billie Jean or Thriller dropping, amazing times.
I want to say
who didn't have a crush on Martha Quinn? Yeah.
What's that?
I said, who didn't have a crush on Martha Quinn?
Yeah.
Brian said Chris is making him feel old. You guys are making me feel young. I wasn't born.
You're only 3 years younger than me, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean.
Well, you guys missed out. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I just wish there was still original MTV. I wish there was just a channel that played music videos still.
Yeah.
But I guess you have YouTube for that now, so.
I don't know if that stuff, I don't know if that'll ever, I like to think that, that things just come around, like all the good, the fads, everything comes around again. But I don't know. I think that would feel too much like we're going backwards in terms of technology. And it's like, how do you dummy down the technology we have now to do something like that?
Yeah.
And have it still feel, because it was more about like everything lined up at that time. It was about everything that was going on in the world. And then it just made sense.
Yeah. And then going back to cable, where like the topic that we're talking about, cable is a dying breed of things where you have streaming apps now. So you don't have as many people with cable television, but I do. I mean,
yeah,
I enjoy it. So there's only certain channels I can get that I can't do on streaming. So I have to. But yeah, I agree. I think it's something that we won't have that again.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious to know, has anyone ever worked at a movie theater? No, I have.
Never did.
Yeah,
I have. I worked concession. I was an usher, and I had a uniform with a vest and a bow tie. And there were definitely some perks of working at a movie theater. Of course, you can go to a movie anytime you wanted for free. You could bring friends and family. And you can bring home gigantic bags of popcorn at the end of the night because
I remember that.
Oh yeah, garbage bags full. They were just dumping it out. So it's like, yeah, man, I'm going to take this home. So literally like giant garbage bag full of popcorn. But yeah, man, some great memories of working. So when I worked there, it was like me and like 4 or 5 of my closest friends. So we all worked at the same place at the same time. And that was awesome. We were up to no good most of the time.
Did you ever get any like posters, things like that?
Oh yeah. All the
cardboard cutouts.
The cardboard cut, exactly. Yep. Bringing stuff home all the time. Eventually did not have room for anything else, but yeah, that was so cool. I mean, everybody was envious that you got all this cool stuff.
Talking about theaters, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
It just popped in my mind. I just remember growing up when my parents were divorced as well. So when we were with my dad, we had a mall down the road from his house that would play dollar movies. After they were in the main movie theaters, they went to the dollar movies, and then we would go there. But this theater was pitch black when you walked in, and it had just lights everywhere, different type of spinning, strobing lights. And then when you walk down the hallways to the movie, like the theater, it was just it looked like you were in space. It was just lines of light that just were like strolling back and forth. It was really cool. That's one of my fondest memories. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. We had something like that in Cincinnati. It was at Forest Fair Mall. It was the Super Saver Cinema.
Yeah, that's
Super
what it was.
Saver.
That was before Danbury. Yeah,
that's
Super
right.
Saver
Super
Cinema.
Savers. Yep, you're right.
And
yep.
I remember you walked into the concession area and about blind you with all the lights that they had in there. It was crazy.
It had all the arcade games. I think it was arcade. Oh, there was games in there. Yeah. I think. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
I wish
pretty
that
cool.
was around.
Oh God, I can't remember countless hours spending that theater, and I even might have marathoned all day with only paying one admission, but hopping back and forth to theaters.
Like you said, the weekend was the thing to do. I mean, Friday, Saturday nights, we were going to the movie theater. Typically, we would hang out in the parking lot before, right? Just kind of waiting on your friends to show up, or depending on how old you are, you're getting dropped off by your parents. So you always had to wait for the crew to show up, and then man, it was packed. It was the place to be.
Yeah, I remember Friday nights. Hey, Mom, can you drop us off to the movies? And then there at our movie theater when we were in high school, there was the movie theater, and then in the same parking lot there was Steak and Shake. So it was always movies, Steak and Shake. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ours was McDonald's and Coleraine.
Yeah, and we also had a miniature golf too, putt-putt.
Yeah.
Remember? So it was like putt-putt and McDonald's. So you can, and they're all 3 of these things, including the movie theater, were all within walking distance.
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
Take your pick, man. That's your Friday night, and you're good to go. $20 in your pocket, and it was a good night.
Yeah,
we were lucky enough where we lived. We actually had 3 malls close. We had Northgate Mall, Forest Fair Mall, which was new, and Tri-County Mall.
Tri-County, yep.
And unfortunately, 2 of those malls are getting ready to be torn down now.
Yeah,
the Tri-County and Forest Fair.
You definitely had your choice, because not every movie released was they weren't at all 3 places, so you had definitely a choice to be able to go and see what you wanted.
Do you remember having to call for movie times?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Wow, what a blast from the past!
You look in the newspaper.
Yep.
Just a recording. Yep.
Do they even still put? I mean, I know they still make newspapers, but I haven't read one in a while. But they even put movie times or movies in the newspaper anymore?
I don't.
They do put.
I think
no,
they
put what movies. Yeah, but don't know if they put the times anymore. But I know they put them like in like what's showing.
Surprised they don't just put a QR code. Scan this for movie times.
Yeah, right. Well, and anymore, it's like, when they put a movie out, it seems like it's only going to be in theaters for, like a month, maybe, if that, and then it's on streaming services. Straight to streaming is a big thing. You see some movie trailers and it will say, only in theaters. But it seems like that's usually just like with the really like big movies that are getting a lot of attention.
COVID had a lot to do with that too. So,
yeah, for sure.
Well, let's not forget.
Movies,
yep. Go ahead.
There's just some movies you have to see in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of them I've been okay with them going direct to streaming with COVID, but like some of the franchises, Star Wars, definitely have to see it in the movie theater, at least the first time.
Yeah.
Anything Star Trek, something with a lot of special effects. Usually, I definitely want to see. Actually, the newest Matrix that came out, though, I didn't see it in the theater, or did I? I can't remember. No, I didn't. I saw it on streaming, but I'm glad I didn't pay the full price at the theater.
I like to see scary movies in the theater because you get louder sounds when you have your jump scares. So horror movies are definitely in the theaters for me. And anything action. If there's a lot of action where I want big sounds, explosions, things like that, take me right to the movies.
I used to go when I was younger.
Top Gun Maverick is going to be only in theaters, Chris. That's one I'm really looking forward to seeing that one in the theater.
Yep.
I used to go when I was younger by myself as a kid, like go to the matinee or something. I always loved doing that. Just kind of treating yourself,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I won't lie. I have been to many movies by myself where no one else wants to go. Sure. I'll treat myself to a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that a lot.
I got to tell you anymore, man. I don't go as much. Occasionally we'll go. Like we went for some of the newer Star Wars. Because we love Star Wars, of course. So like we wanted that great experience of being there with the surround sound and everything. But I'll tell you what, man, I have a hard time staying awake watching a movie anymore. Especially in a dark environment with the cozy seats, right? Like it's really difficult to stay awake.
You don't have regular seats in theaters anymore. It's all those loungers where you can lean back and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the one by me, the wife and I go to, we get the reserved seating, and they have the full service. You can order a meal and everything.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, man. You
have a server comes out, right?
Yeah, they have a bar in there too. So you would eat, get a couple drinks, you lean back in that seat, you're out.
Yeah.
My experience with that, it was not a good one. And I've only done it once just because of this. There's one place that does it up here, and it's Easton Town Center in Columbus, which is a big mall area. They have a big AMC theater there where you can dine in and everything. And we went to go see the first It movie, when it came out a couple years ago. But my biggest thing was there were so many like young teenagers in there screaming and yelling and talking and not even paying attention. That just
gets
ruined
wild.
it for me.
Distractive. Yep.
But that was my only experience with dine-in. It was great though. Food was good.
I would say that happened even from my earliest like memory in the 80s. I kind of remember some kids just being just so loud.
It just doesn't make any sense. You pay this money to watch a movie. You're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember one time some kid set some other kid's hair on fire in the theater. They were like sitting behind them, and then they had to play with the lighter. They set their hair on fire. It's like, geez, oh, Pete. I mean, that was back when right after the Michael Jackson incident too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I think my sister will remember that. That was at the Covedale. I believe that was at the Covedale Theater. I can't remember what movie we saw, but it's like
That's
crazy.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget, of course, the ultimate renting a video and taking it home with you.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Blockbuster. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
They ran from, I think, sometime middle of the 80s. They went bankrupt sometime by 2014. So for a very long time, that type of, renting movies existed for 25, 30 years.
Yep.
Of course, it changed mediums from, VHS tape to DVD, but I think everybody did that, right? That it turned into picking up a movie Friday night and then taking it home.
I remember when
Yeah.
I just remember one thing is we go, you have the new release just came out and it's all out on, no, there's nothing left on the wall. It's all sold out. You go into the return cart. Like, is there any in here? Is there any in here?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would wait. You just wait for people to show up to return them.
Yep.
And if people work there, they would, sometimes they'd let you know, like, oh, we've got 3 coming back. They're due here in the next 20 minutes or something.
My best friend's sister worked at Blockbuster, so we always got to know when should these movies be coming in.
And then the mom and pop video stores opened up, so you could have like, a little like convenience store, and then they would have a little section where they had a handful of movies that they could get, I guess, from the studios and they, everybody got in on this, to be able to.
Do you have Giant Eagle down there? Do you have Giant Eagle? The stores?
In Cincinnati? No, I don't believe so.
Okay. I remember them doing movie rentals up here, but it didn't last very long.
There is a convenience store up in, I believe it's in Mason, or it's like right next to Mason. And I think it's called Drug Mart, and they have everything in there. It's like the greatest convenience store that's ever existed.
Wow.
And I worked close to it a few years ago, and I don't know if they still do it, but a few years ago, they were still renting DVDs in Drug Mart. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I also remember where, those new releases would be out, completely sold out, and you get up to the counter and you'd be checking out and someone would like drop it. Cause remember Blockbuster had the little drop slot to return them, and someone would drop it in and you'd be like, hey, can you just check real quick? And like a couple of times they'd be like, oh yeah, here it is. And you just pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not forget.
I remember
VHS.
the real early days before Blockbuster. It was Network Video. That was a big chain in Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And VHS, you had the VHS and you had the Beta Wars, determining on who was going to win that battle and the format. And I remember the first VHS tapes, usually you had to buy them. And when those movies came out, they were $100 easily for a movie. And you had to wait a couple years for that movie to actually come out. It wasn't, it was in the theater, then 6 months later it's out. It was usually a couple of years.
And now you're going to go buy them at a thrift store for $2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember there's a few up here. My first experience with a rental store wasn't a Blockbuster. It was a place called West Coast Video.
Oh, I remember West Coast.
And
that was a
little location up here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was West Coast Video, there was Hollywood Video, and then Blockbuster up here.
Yep.
Yeah. But
there was big competition.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, then you had towards the end here the Family Video, where they're always right next to a Little Caesars up here for some reason. And do you remember the separate VHS rewinders? You just push it down and it would just rewind them.
Yeah. Yeah.
VHS.
Be kind, please rewind.
Yeah.
I think there's still a couple Family Videos here in like the suburbs of Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just closed
there definitely are.
Not too long ago.
There are definitely still these kind of smaller places that rent videos. But I got to tell you, man, I miss that. I mean, the movie theaters are still out there, so you could still kind of, relive that over and over. But something about walking in on a Blockbuster on a Friday night, man, with your girl and finding a few movies. And
not even just your girl or just your family,
or just
in general.
Or anybody. Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of things that are going on in the world these days. Kids are not like kids when we were growing up. They're a lot more mature now because they don't have that family time. I feel like where you could go spend your Friday night, go to the movie store and just hang out. Now it's stream this, stream that. Let's keep going. What can we do quicker?
Yep. Exactly.
And not even just like stream everything at once, right? Someone's in one room watching their show and the other person's in the other room watching their show. And I like the streaming stuff for the convenience of it, but I'm with you, Joe. There's definitely something missing about it. And I always find with the streaming stuff, it takes me longer to pick out what I want to watch because there's so many options. Boom, 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 right there.
Yeah.
Blockbuster, it was like, okay, this place closes in 15 minutes. You got to make a decision. And you did.
I think
Yeah.
it's the old saying, and too much of a good thing. It
Yeah.
could be bad. Definitely negative effects.
Well,
And
plus
then you
when
have a lot of
rented the videos. You always had a lot of the videos had like extended scenes or something like that. You could watch cut scenes, or they had trailers before the movie.
Mhm.
What's coming soon? You know, it's just like ooh, I got to get that when it comes out. You know,
What were you going to say, Chris?
What I was going to say, I'm not sure if I remember now. I do know that I was going to say, I just remember being at Blockbuster. And when you first get there, you always do the loop first. You go on the outer wall, you go all the way around.
Mhm.
There's nothing left. Then you go into the middle aisles. And I remember as a kid, I would always rent the same movies every single time as a child. And I can't remember what they were, but I just remember like, if there's nothing here, one of them was Monster Squad. With the little kids that run around with the monsters. I rented that so many times.
Yeah, and you could buy them too. Sometimes they would have them clearanced out. You can get. Sometimes they were used for whatever the reason. They would just they just had a huge amount of stock of a title or something. And they would just sell them out. But there's definitely something about it's more than having a bazillion different types of movies that you can stream at any time you want. That's great, but there's still those things that are missing, right? Just going into the place and taking the time to really figure out what you want and visually seeing and picking something up and reading the back of it. And, that stuff you can never replace,
Yeah.
Thank goodness for technology, but.
Another thing is like you're streaming, you're scrolling through all these movies that, let's just say, I'm going to use, Netflix for an example. There's, it's a diamond or you're finding a needle in a haystack to try to find a good movie on there. And people wonder why they're losing subscribers. But I tried just scrolling through there the other day. I was like, there is nothing I want to watch on here. Why do we even pay for this? And that just takes me back to like, I want to go to a movie store. Yeah. And it's a lot of B-rate stuff too. So it's a lot of, But
when you go into a movie, so like a Blockbuster or something, most of the work has been done for you. It's the selections of like what's hot right now, or more of the top rated stuff. So
or you
don't
go in the
see
middle
anything
aisles.
else.
You find your little section. Where's the sci-fi? Where's the
yeah, for sure. So, so streaming on demand now. I mean, how many people now like are only doing that? Is anybody, surely some people are going to movie theaters, but you have to think that most people are probably just streaming. I mean, it's probably just Netflix and all the other platforms.
And there's so many. There's so many out there
on your phone right now.
There's so many out there too, and I wonder, kind of bringing it sort of full circle back to cable TV. A lot of people chose to cut the cable because they're like, well, this is really expensive. And it is. But, then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to get a Netflix account because I want to watch this show or I want to watch this movie. Well, now I've got Amazon Prime. Now I've got Hulu. Now I got Paramount Plus. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm paying the same amount as I was on cable. And I'm not watching it half the time. So I think that's also kind of making it, in some ways, like we've said, it's convenient, but at the same time, it's also, there is that inconvenience because you've got so many options that you actually end up sitting there going, I don't know what I want to watch tonight. And by the time you turn something on, it's 10:30 at night and you're like, oh, shoot, I got to get to bed because I got to get up and work in the morning,
you just watch it anyway.
we have all the streaming platforms and we got them all, quite honestly. And I recently got Discovery Plus. And quite honestly, I got that because I got a free trial error from some software I bought or something like that. But I actually like that one. But I love having the options because there are times where, I feel like a Disney or something. But it's kind of funny, though. I always find myself going back to the classics, and I just rewatch the same stuff. Occasionally I'll watch something new, but I think the majority, if I were to sit down and like statistically look at like what actually, are we watching, it's like the same stuff. I mean, we're watching Shrek again, it's just, it's a favorite.
I just watched Disney's A Black Hole the other day on Disney Plus. It's like, man, I haven't seen this in years.
Yeah. Disney does have a pretty good catalog. I mean, it's all their, all that old stuff.
Yeah, and really, let's not forget about Redbox. You know, that was a big fad.
Mhm.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
they're still around, but
Still
I don't.
exists. Yep.
I don't. Maybe not. I can't remember the last time I went there because now it's just stream. If I want a movie, I'll just stream it now.
Yeah.
Or go to the
Yeah.
theater if we want.
I
to
wonder
see it
why
there, but-
people are still doing Redbox. I mean, it must be just it just economically it just must make sense. It's got to be much
Yeah.
cheaper than streaming streaming subscription services. But
Yeah.
I see the one at our Kroger, our local Kroger. There's always people there. I mean, they're always they're always hitting the Redbox. So it's a moneymaker. I think it still does well.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe, I'm with you. Like, there's always people at the Redbox by my Kroger's, and I think in some ways it's like sort of like the the candy at the checkout, right? You're checking things out, and it's like, oh, I could go for that, right? And you're walking out of your Kroger's, oh, like, yeah, I got dinner for the night, like, I'll pick out a movie for the family. So
Yeah, kind of
it's
an
cool to still see
impulse.
that stuff happening. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Redbox is just a Coke freestyle machine.
Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode of Inside Amusements. Make sure you visit us at InsideAmusements.com. Follow us on social media. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.